Hey, you guys. It sounds like, oh my God, my dogs are humping outside. I'm serious. They really are. I wish I could. She looks like she's guilty too. Don't worry. I'm not judging. There's no judgment. It's a dominance thing. So they say. You're like, really? You're so smart, Natalie. You know so much. No. Quite frankly, you know what I'm going to do? Because of those Cornish crosses I have, you guys? I'm going to artificially inseminate my hens here. Well, not right now because they're not old enough. I mean, the hens are almost old enough, but so I'm going to ejaculate a rooster for you. You're going to be like, wow. We can learn so much here on Yarnitarian. I made a new paper because the other one, like, I think I spilled like beer on it or something. It looked really bad. So this one, Yarnitarian, episode 6. It's compelling, I'm telling you. Knitting, yarn, and all things fiber, while high on Flamin Hot Cheetos and cheap American beer. Because I love cheap American beer. I'm actually kind of proud of it. I'm not going to lie, and I'm going to tell you. It's because I feel like it goes against like the trend. The trend really is to drink craft brews. But I don't want to have to cut my beer with a knife and use a fork and then eat it. I would like to drink my beer and feel refreshed. Anyway, okay, I'm going to find you. It's going to take just a second. You have to hang on. You guys, it's raining so hard. So like this Sunday I had my class again and of course, and I said to them, don't worry you guys, because they want me to post, you know, the results. And usually California is very sunny. It has been just pissing down rain, like pouring down rain. Nothing is dry, and you guys are like, you're such a liar. I'm actually not. And what the thing is you can't take a picture, because I don't take pictures normally in artificial light, because it's really hard. The colors don't come out right. So I like natural light, and there's only a couple of times during the day that you can do that. And it has to, the best time is when it's overcast, but early in the morning, and you know, right before it, you guys are like, we don't care. I'm just informing. Okay, so if anybody wants to go into chat to visit, this time I did only make one link. God, I'm so stupid. I need like a Jiminy Cricket on my shoulder to remind me of everything. You have to go to YouTube. And so YouTube, Namaste Forums. And then you will find Yarnitarian episode 6. And we're there, and I read and chat and visit with you guys. I hope that I actually put it on Instagram, and I was having to, I didn't cut and paste it, but I actually had to like write it in, and I know that I've probably made a mistake. That's my favorite thing to do. So you guys, sometimes like I'll be desperate for money and I'll put up a sale, right? And so let's say it's just like a scrap box or something like that, and I'll put the scrap box up, and then I'll be so depressed because nobody's buying it. And then, you know, I'll be cheering, and usually I sell, you know, a lot of them, and it'll be ping, ping. You can hear on my email, nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens. And then I'll go all online, and I'll be like, nobody likes the color. And then there's like, you know, 15 messages from people saying, your link is broken, and we can't actually, I need help. That's all I can say. Hey, everybody. Okay, Cynthia. She uses a photo box for Inside Photos. I have one. I actually have one right there. I don't know. I'm really partial to, I really am partial to natural light. Hi, Allison. You guys, this is Allison, who I've talked about before, my friend of forever. And she wants to go, I want to go. She wants to go to Fort Worth. It's right after Stitches to this. It's like some rodeo something. It's called, God, Allison, I can't remember what it's called. It's called something. But anyway, and honestly, it sounds like so much fun. And I haven't hung out with Allison in a really long time. I mean, she was here. She's come here. When she came here, she came to visit me, you guys. It was like it was like a $20,000 experience for her, because her dog, she had someone watching her dog. You guys, this is a terrible story. And this is a rescue dog that she got in San Bernardino. She lives in Northern California. She saw a dog on the, you know, whatever, his pet finder. She was like, oh my God, Natalie, I really want this dog. And it was a Rottweiler. And so she's like, will you please go get it? Well, San Bernardino's like an hour and a half away, but I was like, okay, bitch, for you, I'll do anything. So I went down. I think I hired someone. I think I hired Janice Rosen's husband, I think I did, to go get the dog. So, sorry, I didn't do it, but I did have someone do it. So anyway, we get the dog, and to bring the dog to her in Northern California. So he brings the dog to her. She falls in love with this dog. She's had a couple of years. She comes to visit me. She has someone taking care of the dog, and the person says, I think your dog's sick. There's something wrong. And of course, you know, you worry about bloat in bigger dogs, right? And so Allison, you know, starts like communicating back and forth with the vet, the emergency hospital. By the time it's all said and done, 20 grand. I was physically ill for, because once you're in it, like the first, to pull the trigger on the first 5 is pretty hard. But then they start, and this is what they were doing to her. I'm not lying. I was there. I heard it all. And let me tell you, if there's something I know about, it's veterinary medicine. You're like, well, you're not a vet. Okay, true. But I mean, I'm not even going to go into it. Doesn't matter. So anyway, but then they would say, well, you know, you've kind of already went this far and it really needs this, you know, these antibodies, and it really needs this. And those are going to be, it'll only be maybe, you know, 4 or 5 of them, and that'll be another, you know, $700 or whatever. And then like after they're like, well, we really think it ends up that the dog didn't have anything wrong with it. It just had an upset stomach. They were telling her it had like an ulcerated, I mean, you guys, I can't even tell you. The dog was fine. But let me tell you, Allison is a paralegal. And in the end, she won. She won that battle because she did not back down. I was like, I was there. It was really making me physically ill. I felt raped for her. But I was like, oh, it felt good. Just kidding. No, I seriously felt so bad. At one point, I even told her, I said, you know, I was like, you can put some on my credit card if you need to. Like, I was feeling, because once you've committed, once you get so far in, I would have pulled the plug, to be honest with you. I just, because I don't have the money. There's no way. And Allison doesn't have children. Well, that is her child. And so, but I couldn't have done it. I even Scrappy, and I even said that to her. I just don't know. You like how I'm stuttering. You're like, how many beers did you have? A half. And my tooth hurts, you guys, and I'm on a lot of medicine right now because I have a toothache. But it's because I eat hot tamales in the middle of the night. I'm pretty sure. And then I don't brush my teeth again. So I think I probably have a bunch of cavities and it hurts. You guys make me feel so sorry for you. Okay, anyway, that's the story. Hi, Valerie. And Stephanie's like, bastards. No, Stephanie, it's a freaking racket because they've got your heart. I mean, okay, so one of my best friends is a vet. And I went to, she was getting her undergraduate when I was getting my master's degree. You're like, quit saying you have a master's degree. You're just bragging. I know. I just braggadocious. Anyhow, but she doesn't, but she doesn't do that. She doesn't. But I see how it works. I do see how it works. It's such a manipulation. Like Cutie Pie, my Pomeranian, was acting really weird and she wouldn't eat. And she's like 9 years old and she's so obese. She's obese because, well, she can't stop eating. It's not, we have other dogs and she'll take their food. No matter what I do, this dog finds food. And then on top of it, she's, you know, a Pomeranian. So she's like massive, full of hair, right? She's just giant. So, after like a couple days, I knew, you know, if I take a dog to a vet, I'm telling you, there's a problem. I take it to my vet that all the vets that are large animal vets use. He's an old timer, old guy. Really love him, Dr. Thompson. And he used to own one of those emergency hospitals, but he sold it. He's like, Natalie, I got to tell you, you know, there's really nothing. I think you need to take her in. You need to take her. And I said, you and I both know the second that I walk in this door with this dog, they're going to want to run all kinds of tests. They're going to want to put an IV in her. They're going to want, and I said, I mean, by the time I walk out, it's going to be $1,600 or $1,700. And I'm going to tell you something. I can't do that. I just can't. I can't. So anyway, he was like, well, that's just what I recommend that you do. And I think she's impacted and I think it's a problem. I think she's going to have surgery and I'm dead serious. So anyway, I went home and I was just like, I looked at my husband and I said, there's poor Cutie Pie. And so I gave her dicyclamine and I gave her some other, you know, things to make her more comfortable. I even gave her some horse medicine. You're like, so you're trying to kill her? No, I wasn't trying to kill her, but there's some horse medicine that you can't get in the United States anymore, but it's pretty awesome for stomachs, for when they were calling me and they stopped because people would take it and it's very toxic for humans. Anyhow, and then like 2 days later, 2 days, I know. You guys are really going to want to hear this. Well, let's just say if an elephant pooped a lot, so did she. So anyway, whatever it is, she became unimpacted, but and she probably did need surgery. She didn't get it, and she's alive today. I bet there's just no way, because you know how it is, you guys. That was $1,600 just to evaluate her. That wasn't the surgery part. You know once you get to the surgery part what's going to happen. There's just no way. I just can't. Okay. Oh my God. Cynthia was just saying, in my standard poodle group, a vet put down the wrong dog. And we take turns for bloat emergencies. It buys enough time to get help. I tell you, bloat is a killer. It is for deep-chested dogs. It's a killer. Well, hello, Marion 56778. I just want to start singing. Want to come and die some wool? You should come and die some wool. And I have those private retreats, VIP retreats, where you can come and stand in one of the Airbnbs. We pick you up at the airport. You're like, stop, like, you know, doing the hard sell, baby. Okay, you guys, I know this has, you guys, it actually, so my favorite, this is the thing, I always say my favorite part. So, one Megan Croft, who I know I've met. She took one of my classes when I was in Dixon, when I worked at Lambtown 1 year. And, or was it 2 years? Actually, I think it was 3 years. Anyway, so she was like, is this about dating? She writes in the, I didn't see it until later, but she writes in the chat, is this about dating? Because, you know, I just start talking about whatever. But it's technically about, it's loosely about fiber. I try to teach you guys or tell you something or share with you something that's like useful information. But in general, I mean, can't we be entertained and simultaneously learn something or talk about fiber? Because quite frankly, if I was talking for an hour and 20 minutes or something about fiber, I'd want to throw up. Because it's really not that interesting. It's more of a doing thing. It's not a talking thing. Anyway, hi, Jody. Kristen, I love you. And then Amy says she's late tonight. And there's no beginning. Amy, you can calm down. It's totally fine. And I'm going to make my husband, Ms. Shelley, I'm going to make my husband take vacation and keep the kids so I can come stay in the air. That would be so fun. Do it, baby. Do it. I'm here. I'm here for you. Do you drink? If you don't, that's fine too. I'll drink yours. And Christine, my dog, ate some caramels, but knew not to take her to the vet or I'd be charged $1,000. At least I know I'm a nurse and I don't panic. There are some things, and yes. Okay, wait. Okay, Alon, Monique, I paid $1,200 for my Yorkie eating pot cookies, and I thought that was bad. 20,000. No, actually though, I don't. Okay, you guys, because I am from Mendocino, California, so, I mean, don't judge. And, you know, I'm just letting you know, everybody's parents grew pot. Everybody's. And they would give us the shake and the trim off of the buds, and so we were just stoned all the time. And I remember we used to get, because we were young and dumb, I mean, I wouldn't do it now, but we used to get our dogs stoned all the time. I think, you know, but a Yorkie, because they're so little, that's the only thing. But I don't know. Usually the thing I know, because you guys, I was really stupid. I had a Persian cat. That's not why I was stupid. Actually, I might have been, because you end up spending a lot of money on lint brushes. Anyway, and the Persian cat, I don't know why I decided don't ever do it. Don't give it dog medicines ever. But, you know, and I was actually for the horse, I want to say I gave it ivermectin. I gave it some ivermectin. It had, or anyway, I think it was ivermectin. I made it so sick. I mean, it almost died. It cost me a lot of money to save it. But they, you know, Valium. So it's like every time anything happens, the first thing I do is just give the dog Valium. And then at least I like, you know, it stabilizes it, you know, in my mind. It pretty much is a catch-all for everything until I can get it. Like, especially one time I had one with the, you know, because they have a bone in their penis. I'm like, wow, girl dogs are so lucky. Anyhow, you're like, stop it, you sex addict. Yes, I am. Don't repeat that. It's just between us. Anyhow, he had what are those? They're like, what are they called? Stones? He had stones in his bladder. It made me so sad. I gave him Valium. You know, I just give him Valium for everything. I can't take it. It makes me really neurotic. You're like, as opposed to right now. No, it does. It makes me actually suicidal. It makes me want to kill myself. Okay. And then Allison says total racket, but she dug into their SEC filings and had them. No, Allison frickin' threw down. She's a badass bitch, I'm telling you. Let's see. I'm going back up, and then Liz Rose, hello, and Brush Prairie Farms, and hello, Brush Prairie Farms from Washington. And let's see. I'm moving up. Benjamin, hey, Benjamin. We don't have men very often. I'm gonna feel inhibited now. Just kidding. So you're like, are you still going to talk about the 24 different types of women's underwear? I'm telling you, like, that is one of the things my daughter wanted. It's like, can't they just make it easy? Whatever happened to like bikini or granny panties? That's honestly. And then Elon says, I never make live. I'm sitting in my jacuzzi, drinking whiskey and watching Yarnitarian, prepared to laugh. Well, I don't know. I'm not very fun tonight, I don't think. Hi, Chastity. And hi, Diana. And Zone 4 Gardner. I drink craft beer and I call it drinking my bread. Oh my God, I'm telling you, I can't do it. I just can't do it. Like, especially because, you know, it's normally really hot here. And there's nothing quenching about eating a beer. There's just not. So I like, and you know, and also, I almost feel like, you know, because I like designer shoes. I like designer clothes. I like designer shoes. But I like that I don't pluck my eyebrows, And you guys are like, okay, so that has nothing to do with anything. It does. I'm getting to it. And you don't pluck my eyebrows, and I like shitty beer. I like expensive scotch and shitty beer. Those are my things. I'll tell you, and 12 year, anything that's below 16 year in scotch, I'm not in. I am not in. But I will tell you this. When I was in England last time, I was at that, what is it, there was a big royal, it was a show, a big one. Gosh darn it, you guys, there was a lady here last time or the time before that I met there. 4 counties, 3 counties, anyway, it doesn't matter. And they put a drop of distilled water, a microliter of distilled water. And I didn't, I just drink it neat. I don't ever put water in it. And it actually made scotch that I didn't think was drinkable. So imagine what it makes your drinkable scotch. Even more drinkable. I don't even think that's sound. I don't think that's my logic is sound. Okay, so let me just keep looking and make sure that I get through, because I want to say hi to everybody. Because you guys, I really appreciate you. I so appreciate you. Because do you know how depressing it is when you look and that nobody watched? It is. Actually, but see, don't judge me just on YouTube, because people watch on Facebook Live. A lot of people watch. A lot. They actually do. And I don't know why, you guys, because if you want to visit with me, you have to come over here. Because I can't switch back and forth. I'm not that skilled. I'm just not. Okay, so let's see. I'm going. And Benjamin says, I was raised by my mom and my sisters. You literally can say anything I haven't. Well, Benjamin, I might surprise you. I am going to talk about something that I learned about men. And Stephanie's drinking whiskey. She's in Maine. I get a lot of Maine lobster. Okay, you guys don't think you guys are like, she likes to design her shoes. She likes to design her clothes. And then she orders live Maine lobsters. I order from either Get Maine Lobster or Maine Lobster Now. I don't quote me on that, but there's 2 different ones. Whoever's having a coupon and a deal, that's where I go. They are so good. I have to be honest with you. I don't know. I think this whole saving the planet stuff is making me feel guilty. Did you guys hear the subject change? California, this Gavin Newsom. I'd like to literally take my nitty naughty and just poke him in the eye, and then other places. He wants to do like some weird tax, and I was thinking it was on water. But it's like a tax that everybody has to do. Okay, I learned this from a friend of mine, and I heard it, but I didn't know the particulars until I visited with a friend of mine. So don't quote me on the exact, but it's like $95 a year or something. It's like that kind of tax. Not like every time so it's very regressive. That's the other thing I don't like. The problem isn't, you're like, is this going to be a political show? Megan's going to be like, oh, we're not talking about dating anymore. We're talking about politics. No, but you guys, come on. The problem isn't cash flow in California. The problem is a spending problem, because they just taxed the shit out of us. My property taxes went up. We have a gas tax now. They make it impossible to live here unless you're on welfare, which I'm actually considering. If I was of childbearing age, let's see if I could. Seriously, it would be so much easier. Instead, I'm just going to have to actually suffer and pay the taxes. Yeah. Damn it. Okay, anyway, moving on. You guys don't want to hear about it. Please let me. Wash and Dye Bastard is the winner. It is. Jody, Wash and Dye Bastard, that's one of my shampoos. You guys, we ran, okay, you're like, how drunk are you? We ran out of bottles. Who does that? I'm not kidding you. I know I talked last week about that there's something wrong with my brain. Well, it's not just my brain, because there are other people here. But Sean and I are looking at each other. I'm like, no, I know that there's like a box of like 500. I know there is. It's somewhere. I know there is. I remember seeing it. He's like, I remember seeing it too. And there's no box of. So it's really hard to, fill people's orders of shampoo when you don't have any bottles. They're going to be here Friday. Don't worry. Bud Light. And that's Jody. I will drink Bud Light. And then Valerie says, we appreciate you, and I appreciate that you appreciate me, because, believe it or not, I really annoy some people. I don't know why either, because I'm a really nice person. I actually am a really nice person. I am a throwdown bitch. I have already said that. You're like, we already know. You don't have to go into it. We know you're a throwdown bitch. But I am nice until crossed, and then I'm not so nice. But I'm never passive aggressive, and I'm honest, and I'm accountable for my mistakes. You're like, this is my resume, essentially. I'm accountable for my mistakes. I live in the now. I actually sometimes don't. You should live in the now, though. And then Ms. Shelley says she's surprised there's only been one penis mentioned so far. Don't worry, we're getting there. No, and I am serious because I learned some valuable information about the penis. And you guys, my thing is, can we just desensitize people to these words? No, I mean, I'm not trying. Kristen is now leaving. Kristen's like, I really like, you know, because Kristen, you guys, is my right-hand person. She's basically my brain, and she is a huge part of my business because I can't run it without her. And Trisha is another huge part. Trisha actually is the one that was like, you really need to hire Kristen because Kristen's amazing. Kristen's like, yeah, I don't know if I really want the job, but she took it anyway. But she's like, yeah, I really like the show, except the part where like, yeah, I can't help myself, you guys. It's this addiction. I don't even know if it's an addiction because I think technically if you were an addict, wouldn't you just be like having random sex with people? So I wouldn't say that. But I used to find it fascinating because, you know, there's a lot of sex addicts. One is, what is the guy from the X-Files? What is his name again? Duchovny. David Duchovny. You're like, yeah, we really know him, Natalie. No, he's one, but you can see why he would be one because like everybody's probably always trying to bet him. And then, you know, their egos get big and I don't know. But I am not promiscuous, despite the fact. And even Allison will tell you I've never been promiscuous, and she's known me forever. She's known me since, like, I want to say grade school, like elementary school. Let's see. I'm sorry. You guys are like, that was a big sidetrack. Can we get back on fiber? Yes, in just a minute. And then anyone drink that American honey wild turkey? Isn't that just, you know what I love? I do have to tell you, and it's like a guilty pleasure, is I do like Jack Daniels, not because it really tastes good, but because it's sweet. But I think now that I'm a Scotch drinker, I think I'd probably vomit. I'm not gonna lie, but I used to drink Jack Daniels. Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm reading. And then Mary says, your honesty is so refreshing, which makes me feel good. A lot of people say that, and a lot of people say it's threatening and icky. And let's see. Oh, Connecticut has the same problem. Zone for Gardner says Connecticut has the same problem, bleeding the residents dry. She's in New Hampshire now. But aren't those both very, see that this is the, you know, okay. The problem is that young people, us old folks, like my grandfather was a prisoner of war in World War II, and my uncle, his son, fought in Vietnam in combat. And so, but my grandfather used to indoctrinate me when I was little and constantly tell me things like, how would you like to have a passport to have to go to, you know, Eureka? This is when I lived in Mendocino and Ukiah. And his point was a little bit to scare, but because, you know, that was such a huge, obviously World War II. So we had this, we understood that communism and, you know, socialism, we understood that they don't, you know, necessarily, they don't work, right? That there's the elite, right? And then the military have money, but then the rest of the people really don't. And so, or like even the Margaret Thatcher, where it's like the problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money. And so the youth today, they don't have that. They think that life is a utopia because they're spoiled brats who think that, you know, you get to make your own hours because they do. And they get to wear jeans and flip-flops to work and bring their dog, which I'm okay with that, believe me. And they have chefs there. And I mean, it's just like, you know, I mean, it's just like, it's so unrealistic and not sustainable. But wait till, I mean, wait. And then the hard part is the people that have a lot, you know, people like Bezos or, you know, the extraordinarily wealthy, they have so much money that they lose perspective that you know, a person, you know, even nowadays, if you make $1 million a year, let's say collectively with, you know, and you have like 6 kids or 5 kids, I'm sorry, but that's really not very much money. It's just not. A tube of toothpaste is like what, $6 or $7? I mean, ridiculous. And then actually I was looking at the commissary, like I was looking at commissary, like what you know, Camp Pendleton commissary, like and someone did like a very non-scientific study, and they were saying that Costco actually get you get a better deal at Costco. I mean, it's hard to live. It's hard to live. Things are expensive. Okie dokie. Oh my God. I love Chris because thanks to Kristen for making sure I had everything in my order that I wanted. She rocks. Well, unfortunately, she's not here to make sure you actually get it. Lol. You will get it. But on my end is where the mistakes really happen. Miss Shelley saying, my husband and I are shopping for a few acres to start a micro farm homestead, and there's lots of affordable land, but finding water, low taxes, agriculture, it's nearly impossible. You guys, my electric bill is $1,000 a month, and I'm not shitting you. because they tier me. I'm on a tier system. So I have all electric heat, and on top of it, I have, 4 kids that live here. And they treat me like I'm a house of 2 people. They don't like inventory you and see if you have a house with more people. It's so ludicrous. It pisses me off. So I end up getting penalized. Like I'm in, you're in tier 1 and that's like normal 2 family. And then as you use more kilowatts, I can't even, it gets me, you guys, I'm about ready to move to Frankfort, Kentucky, old Frankfort. It's so beautiful there. And then Liz says, I'll take honesty any day over fake. Agree. And then Allison Blair's like, I'm late for my date with Natalie. Allison, if I would have known, I would have I don't normally like smell goody stuff, but I do wear, you guys are like, you always forget the name of it. I do always forget the name of it. Versace. And Versace sounds like it would be so yucky smelling, but Versace, the dreamer. And I always say, you're like, we already know unisex. But it's because, I wear Old Spice deodorant, as you guys know, since I was telling the story that I ate a big chunk of it on accident, and then I couldn't produce saliva, which is not good for your sex life, I might add. Believe me. You're like, okay, moving on. Okay, so, Kristen, I don't want to make you uncomfortable, but I have to talk about some things I learned. First of all, I know it's not a dating vlog podcast, but here we go. Because of my printer, I got it to work. I had to move it into my house. It's so stupid. He's not evolved. He's a dickhead. Okay, remember how I was talking about... Can you guys read this? Remember how I was talking about that guy that, I met in the grocery store and, I thought he was really great for Jenny and the whole thing. And then he said, you smoke and I'm not really interested because you smoke. Well, anyway, so I ended up talking to him because I waited for I don't know, 6 or 7 days. Maybe it was 4. I don't know. But anyway, and I was like, hey, I just texted him. I was like, hey, I just want you to know, even though, even if you and Jenny don't work out, you're kind of a cool guy. You live right down the road. I'm not trying to hit on you. I said it and then a few beats later, I was like, and once again, I'm not trying to hit on you. And then again, I'm not trying to hit on you, but you do live right down the road. And so, and he's pretty handy. Like he has a Sawzall. We could use one of those. You're like, okay, so the motive is clear now. And so, anyway, he writes back and he's like, yeah. And then he starts going into this stuff with him and Jenny. Like I was on a recon mission. Like I was only texting him to find out, the 411 on the Jenny. And I really he started giving me this paragraph about the whole situation with Jenny. And I actually said, I didn't read it. To be honest with you, I didn't. I said, I just saw her name. And I said, you know what? This is not like a recon thing and I'm not doing intel. I'm just, I legitimately am letting you know that I was just, wanted to tell you that don't be a stranger. Anyhow, he lives a minute away. And so then anyway, he ends up calling me and we start talking and I realize actually he's just a cocksucker. He is an asshole. Really, a dick. And now I'm really glad she didn't go out with him. And what I realized is that as he was talking, I loved his candor, having a conversation with him. You guys are like, wow, you threw a lot of really foul language in there. I did because I got mad. As I'm talking to him because I really genuinely liked this person because he is really in touch with his emotions and he can articulate his emotions well. But what happened is he got butthurt. He got totally hurt that Jenny was not, because Jenny's really shy and reserved. And so, in his opinion, she seemed frigid. And let me just tell you, Jenny is not. She's not. But, she's trying to not, be promiscuous, which was a problem before. Not that she was promiscuous, but that she could be convinced. She was one of these gals that if you manipulated her, it would work. If she had a couple beers and you manipulated her, it would work. Now, she's 43 years old. She's growing up. She's trying to not make these same mistakes. So she's not doing that now. So it's coming off apparently as a little bit chilly, right? Even though she's warm. She's like, do you want to come over? We can have a beer together. She's just not letting him stick his hand up her skirt on the 3rd date, right? And so you can hear him say, he's like, and then I was just like, maybe I should just rip her clothes off and just screw her. Because I'm sitting there and I'm trying to be nice and I'm putting my hand on her leg and she's just not responding. And you can hear him getting angry. He's getting offended. He's getting really offended. And I actually was trying to reason with him a little bit, which almost sounded like I had a dog in the fight, like I was defending her. And I was trying not to because I didn't want to make him defensive. But on the other hand, I realized as I was talking to him that he's really an asshole. Like he's really an asshole. And what he said was, he was like, you know what? If I liked her, maybe, the smoking would never be okay in the end, but maybe it would be okay. But since, I would go out with her again, but since she's like so cold, so basically if she would have had sex with him, the smoking would have been, this is the gist of it. If she had sex with him, the smoking, he could probably deal with. But since there's no chemistry, which he has chemistry for her, but because she's not reciprocating, he says no chemistry. It just was so irritating. And I was really thinking, what a misogynistic pig. So, in other words, don't pick somebody in the grocery store that you don't know to date your girlfriend. I did learn something valuable from it. What did I learn? I'll have to let you know later. That'll be next week. You're like, really, we don't want to hear about it. But no, I'm serious. Like, what I would see, I can see this. My point is, what's the point, Natalie? The point is that what I thought was like emotional intelligence and candor, when he would say things that somebody wouldn't ordinarily say, was actually just that he was an asshole. That's it. You're like, good. Thank you for the point. Could you have said that at the beginning? Yeah, I probably could have, but I didn't think of it. Okay, let's see. And then I'm reading, I'm sorry. I'm reading up, I apologize. So they're going on about, you, my friends, are talking about, we don't have PG&E, we have SoCal, we have Ed. And then Christine says that I always fix the mistakes that I make, and boy, do I make a lot of them. Shit, you guys, I do. Really do. And then, let's see, and then I guess PG&E is going out of business. And then Elon is saying, saliva, we need it, baby, we need it. It's so good, it's so good. I like the choking saliva. Seriously, not when someone chokes you like this, but like gags you. That's really like viscous and like it's like the best. You guys are like, okay, time out. We're gonna draw a line somewhere. We are. Okay, you guys, I've had like a half of Vicodin because of my tooth and like a half a beer, and I had a Soma, and I had a Fiorinol with codeine, and then I had a Tramadol. You guys are like, would you like to admit anything else? Yes, and then some black tar heroin. I didn't have that. And then Liz said, my husband's name is Jake. Lots of good jokes there. I got to tell you right now, the funny thing is this guy's name is Richard. So it actually kind of fits. Okay, let's see. I'm sorry. And then Benjamin says, I'd call him a pig, but pigs are cute. Pigs are cute. I have two of them. I love them. And then Chastity says she dodged a bullet. I mean, honestly, can I just tell you something? It's never a mistake when you don't sleep with a guy and then he never talks to you again. That's what I call win. A big, fat win. Especially at our age. Our age, like she's my age. She's like, I'm 56. She's 43, so she's not my age, but still. And Kent says, Nat at night. Nat's naughty. Come to Mission, then we have, one beer I do like is, you guys, it's the one that's the Ying Ling. I don't know what it is. It's Pennsylvania one. That's like the only beer that's not like just shitty American beer that I like. Because I don't think that one's shitty, because it's like, isn't that like a treasure for Pennsylvania? You're like, it's not Pennsylvania, it's like New Jersey beer. I don't know, I think it's Pennsylvania. Oh, and then Miss Shelley says, one thing I miss about being single is to crush the egos of people like that who would hit on me. Totally. And then Stephanie says I should be a stand-up comic, except for the part where I don't have comedic timing. I actually don't. And remember, I choke. I'm a total choker, you guys. I hate that about myself. I do. And what it boils down to, I never know if I'm going to be any good. I really don't. Not in the sack. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be good there because I have a lot of practice. You're like, yes, because you're old. I can't even, you guys are like, wow, this is like completely X-rated. No, but it will be soon because I am talking about members, because this is called, I'm changing subjects right now. 6 minutes and 15 centimeters or 5.16 inches. You guys are like, why are you doing this? You guys can close your ears if you don't want to hear, but I quite frankly find it fascinating. I do. So because you guys know the whole thing about, you can't, because I'm just going to tell you, we all know that like looking at somebody's hands, you can't tell how big their penis is. You guys are like, why are we? Because I like penises and I find the whole thing fascinating. I do find it fascinating. I mean, and why are we so weird about it? And that is the one thing that So my girlfriend, who is from East Berlin, and this is, I'm talking about before the wall fell. She was telling me, so I used to do private yoga with her, and for many, many years, she'd come here 5 days a week. I loved her. Super and really beautiful and really, just a really kind person. But I think what happens is because she was also indoctrinated from a very young age to be malleable and to also, to be like more, to let people tell you what to do. And so that made her seem very kind, even though she doesn't have that really, that she's very easily convinced of things. But she's not like a victim, and she's not stupid. She's very smart. But she was telling me, yeah, and so my dad was there, and, you know, my dad was something, and, you know, in our house, we only had one bathroom, and, you know, I'd be naked, and you know, you guys are so hung up about that kind of stuff. You know, if my dad saw me naked, I'm like, and how old were you when he saw you naked? And she's like, well, like now or whatever. She's like, you guys, you Americans are so weird. I literally, like, I'm not kidding you. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Can we just put it in reverse one more time? Wait a second. Did you just say, like, your age, your dad sees you naked and it's not that big of a deal, and Americans are hung up about, like, their bodies and sex? Because I am not hung up about my body and sex, but I am just going to say for the record that I would not let my son see me naked. Any of my sons, I have 3. I would not, and it's not because I'm a prude, it's because, like, one of them is 27 and the other ones are in puberty. I'm sorry. And then it's like, it's not appropriate. And I if that makes me, like, hung up and weird, I guess I'm hung up and weird. But, like, prancing around in front of my dad, oh my God. And my dad used to call women's, and he's educated, women's boobs jugs. He'd be like, I swear to God, you're like, he's a misogynist. He is. He'd be like, oh my God, look at her jugs. He'd be saying this to my mom, and I'm in the car and like 6 years old. I just, I have no words. Anyway, you guys are like, why are we talking about this? Let me look at your comments. Please don't say anything mean. This is important because I want to tell you, because I love this subject because I learned something this week. Okay. No, they don't. Allison's saying hands tell you. They don't. There is, that's, okay. Let's see. And it's PA beer. Okay. His penis was probably small, Jen. Actually, I think it was. Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm going up. Okay. Oldest Brewing USA. They made root beer or something during the Prohibition. They probably made root beer and then just spiked it. Just kidding. Okay. And Allison would know, let me tell you. I'll tell you, Allison was like, she was a feminist about sex before feminism was feminism. I'm not kidding you. Like, there were no men, she would chew them up and spit them out. There were no men using Allison. Allison was using them. I don't mean like for money. I just mean like, she's like, hey baby, I'll take you for a ride. She likes those cowboys. She does. Only if they have round tail boots though. You gotta have round tail boots. Okay, you're not a real cowboy. Okay, tangents that tantalize Kent. Kent's like, oh, this is getting juicy. Let's talk about this. Okay, let me talk about this. So I was looking up because I don't know if you guys are into, or if you guys are into it. Please tell me. I'm kidding. I just meant I was misspeaking. No, do you guys know about edging and like tantric sex? Okay, so they're not the same thing. But anyway, so I'm not going to say who does that, but I do know somebody in my house that's my age. And so, like, that could be hours long, right? So I was looking up what it takes for the average man to, like, the average couple to have intercourse. You guys are like, what does this have to do with yarn? Nothing, but I like talking about it. Please indulge me. 6 minutes. Kinsey Institute, 6 minutes. 6 minutes. 6 minutes? I'm still like, I honestly was like, but I do remember a time when I was like, there would be people that I've been with in my life where I was like, could it be 3, please? Okay, how about 30 seconds? Because that would be great too. What could I say to make it be 30 seconds? I'm serious. I do. I remember those times. But now I'm old. Now I'm old and, you know, now I'm experienced and, you know, it's completely different. I mean, honestly, sex is ruined on the young. That's what I've decided. And sex is ruined on, I think, I think the best thing that you can do is have a long-term monogamous relationship with somebody that is non-judgmental and that you grow together. Because no one starts out frisky. Like, I never didn't start out this way, believe me. It's just been it's been over time. You guys are like, we don't want to hear your sexual history. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I'm going to tell you anyway. Anyway, I'm going to get back on this and off myself. Okay, 6 minutes. Still, I'm just going to say right now, my husband, it would be the last time we ever got frisky if it was 6 minutes. I'll tell you that right now. And 5.16 inches. And I'm going to tell you something. There is a predictor of how big a man's penis is going to be. There is an accurate. They did a study. There were 15,000 men in the study, and it's pulling it. It's like flaccid. You guys are like flaccid and pulling it and measuring that length, and that length is the indicator. That will tell you. But in the study, I read the whole peer-reviewed thing. It actually says that most, like when they were doing the study, what they noticed is that a lot of the, because they'd have doctors be the ones that measured them, but the doctors didn't pull it hard enough. That you have to really pull it. So girls, which is, you know, you at that point you're going to find out anyway. Like, it would be really weird being like, you know what, I realize you want to date me, but there is one thing I would like to do. Before I commit to the first date, this might seem inappropriate, but do you mind like dropping your trousers? And I have this little tape measure right here. I'm going to pull on it. It'll hurt just a little bit. Might feel good, but it could hurt possibly. Don't worry though. I'm just doing some intel. By that point, you may as well just do it. If you're that far. Can you, that is, I mean, have you ever heard that that's actually the predictor, is that you just pull it and measure it? You're like, what is it? Penis. The penis. That's what you measure. I had to say it because I thought people thought I didn't want to say it. I'll say it all day. Actually, I will name a child that. If I could have one, no, I wouldn't. Don't be stupid. Okay, and then Allison's talking about Bobby. Allison's like, stop it. I'm sorry, Allison, I gave it away. What about Bobby? Bobby Murphy. Bobby's, remember you guys, just for those of you who don't know, Allison and I dated brothers when we were in high school. She had the better one, actually. She had Mike Murphy and I had Bobby Murphy. Bob was about as smart as this. He called an antelope a cantaloupe as it was bounding across the television set. We were watching something and he's like, oh, look, a cantaloupe. I'm just like, okay, like, that is a total boner kill right there. Growers, not showers. Hi, Diana. Well, now you can go and tell people. So you know what you can do? You can go to your husbands that are over 5.16 inches, fully at attention, and you can say, you're such a stud. Because I have a newfound respect for my husband. I'm not going to say what it is, but I will tell you, at 5'4", 5'5", my husband is completely respectable. And I would call him long locks if he was fleece. You guys are like, now we kind of know where we're going with this. Yes, it would be long locks. And then suddenly you like, I'm not kidding you, it makes you have a whole new respect. And I don't know why, because it's nothing they can control. It's almost like, it's not nice, but I guess we're still primal, right? I mean, we are, because we're animals. So it's just, I mean, I think there's a natural curiosity too. Like, I think that, I don't know, is that weird, you guys? Like, I'll see a couple and I'll wonder if they're like, if they're, having fun in the sack, or if they like, or have a lackluster relationship. I don't know. Does everybody think that? Or is it just me because I'm a sex addict? No, I'm serious. Like, don't you see, like, if you're like in a restaurant and you're just like people watching and you see, a couple, do you wonder if they've been together a long time and if they're, you guys are like, can we please talk about yarn? No, not right now. I'm busy. I'm busy right now. This is called 1-900 Natalie. My husband right now is going, I'm going to have to go and tell her to get off the subject. Kristen now has left. I'm sure of it. Okay. No one's saying anything. Christine wonders it too. Thank God, Christine, because I was starting to feel really uncomfortable. Like I am new, because Sean doesn't. My husband doesn't. I've asked him. I'm like, I wonder, do you think those people, this is me. So let's just say we never go anywhere together, by the way. But let's say we do. And I don't know. Because I do like to play the game. The game. Have I told you guys about the game? Oh my God, you guys, this is so brutal. So those of you who don't know, there are some people who know. So there's something that I call the game. And so my husband and I, because we've been married now 26 years, I started feeling, this is like, we've been married like 24 years. I started feeling like I need a lot of validation. So like even you guys being here and visiting with me and, being supportive, I need, if you don't do that, it doesn't feel like nobody's paying attention to me or likes me. It feels like someone's just like, you're a piece of shit. Like, that's the equivalent. So if and the same thing with my husband. If he doesn't validate me and tell me he loves me, I don't hear nothing. I hear, you are worthless. It's stupid, and I need to get over it. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't know if I ever will, because obviously it's something that it's been with me a very long time. So I told him, I was like, I want to start, well, this is what we're going to do. I didn't ask him. I told him, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to go to the bar before you. We're going to go to the bar. And then I'm going to sit down, and because, younger men usually try to hit on me, and it makes me feel good. I'm not going to obviously go with them. And I told him, and then you'll come in a little bit later, and then the whole objective is that you have to try to pick me up. So someone will probably be talking to me, but you're going to have to figure out how you're going to weasel your way in there. And this for my husband is so horrifying, you guys, because my husband is the most, he's painfully shy. So for him, he's just like this. Watch him. He's just like, oh, please, no, please, okay, whatever you, okay. And I said, and there will be ground rules. Like, I tell them I'm married, I have no intention, that I'm not going to, there's they have no shot. And I'll tell them that I have, 5 children, and I'll be everything, I have to be completely honest. But it didn't matter. So they still would try to pick me up, and my husband he would be so cute, because he would try so hard. Like, you could see him, it would be so hard. He'd be like sitting across the bar watching these guys hit on me. And then he would try and come over and be like, is this seat taken, miss? It was really, and I'd be like, oh yeah, sit down. I'm Natalie. And then I'd say, and this is such and such and such and such. And I'd say, what's your name? And he's Sean. And then I'd say, well, how do you do, Sean? And then I'd say to the bartender, hey, can you buy Sean a drink? I'll pay for it. And this is how, and it would totally, I don't know why, it just used to make me feel so good. You guys are like, wow, this bitch is crazy. But it's really good for your self-esteem. I don't know why. Why is that? But it is. It used to make me feel so good. One, because Sean's always the winner. That's the one thing. I mean, here, and like I said, my husband's not very tall. So, these guys, I'm sure these young guys would be like, why is she like going with this guy who's like older, because he's my age, and like, I'm sure. And then by the end, I'd be totally making out with them and ignoring these guys. It's like win-win. You guys are like, can we please talk about something else? No, I'm telling you, you guys should try it, because it's really fun. I'm not kidding you. Not fun for him, really fun for you. And then Saddlebutt, which I love that name, says, I do that, meaning, and I wonder what they are all like. Okay, so what they are like, which is exactly what I'm saying. Okay, so it's not, maybe it's just women do it. And then Susie Q says she wonders too. Oh my God, and Chastity's saying it too. You guys, shorter guy, and then it says, Benjamin says, shorter guys seem to always be bigger. My husband is a full foot shorter than me, and I'm telling you, there's something to be said about that. It's like, where is the other foot? Right? It's there. So I'm not the only one. Okay, that makes me feel better. And then Michelle says she loves when her husband picks her up at the bar. Oh my God. Chastity likes it too. Oh my God. So I'm not the only one. Okay. I love this not normal tree. I am feeling like a nun hearing this conversation. Stop it. You need to start then. You need to start doing these things. I'm telling you, because you guys, we aren't dead. Actually, my girlfriend told me that, because I actually at one point thought that I was just like, I'm just winding down to die. This is what I actually said to my girlfriend, who is, she's married to someone 15 years younger than her, and she's older than I am. And he's younger than me. She's, I want to say like four years younger than me, 4 years older than me, and he doesn't matter. And so, they've been married for like 20 years. And she's like, Natalie, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Why would you say that? And I was like, because it just feels like that. It just feels like, like there's really not, I just did. I just felt like it was over. Like, my kids are almost out of the house, and now it's, going to be me and my husband. And I really had a really wrong attitude, and I had to change it. But it's not just that. I got on bioidentical hormones, and that really shifted. Like, it changed me profoundly. It really did, because just think of, even like when you look at kids that are going through puberty, your hormones really they're like the engine. And if once you hit menopause, it's like, it kind of feels like, and that is where we're going. Once you're not of childbearing age, you're winding down, and that's just a fact. And men are lucky because they still have testosterone. So But I do believe that testosterone is the key to life. And now, you know, in California, I don't know, I'm guessing it's not the same place everywhere, because California seems to do a lot of things that are, I would almost think this is borderline unethical, but they give almost anyone, like even women that are in their 20s and 30s, if they test their testosterone and it's even at a normal level, and they're just like CrossFit training or whatever, I mean like just regular working out, I don't mean competing, they'll give them testosterone. And I'm not kidding you, it really does make a difference. It's like it's like the fountain of youth, and it makes you like so much, you're so much stronger, and you're so much happier, less bitchy. You have boundless energy. Like I can get, Sean even says, I just don't know how it is that every morning, no matter what we've done the night before, like I could have like 3 hours sleep and I just jump up and I'm like ready to go. Like seriously. And I don't remember being quite like this. I mean, I've always had a lot of energy, but I don't remember being this for the last, and so but that's how my friend Pam changed my life, and that was like 3 years ago. And it's made me a different person, and I actually enjoy life now, and I have, you know, a great sex life, and I am not inhibited anymore, and it's just really changed me. And to think that I was the other way. So I'm just telling you girls, I mean, I'm serious. If you start feeling depressed, it changes your metabolism, it changes everything. It really does. You guys are like, okay, so are you selling these things? No, I'm not. It's not a sell. I'm just wanting you to feel good. I want people to feel good because I felt bad. I felt really bad about my life. I did. And it's amazing if you change one thing, how it can change everything. So, anyhow, okay. You guys are like, can we move on? And then Christine saying she's got to get her husband to do that. It is a journal. It's so fun. And Saddlebutt's talking about he's a winner and a good kisser. Yes. And then Liz says, I think that's wonderful. And then Christine saying, oh, this is so much fun. For once, I'm not the only one. I have a filthy mind. Filthy. Like a child. And I actually was talking, because I even talked to Richard the asshole. His name is now Richard the asshole. And I was saying, because Jenny was there. Because I will not be provocative in front of, you know, men that I'm, unless someone's there, and every other word out of my mouth is, I'm not hitting on you, I'm just curious. But I was asking, you know, so how, you know, down and dirty do men talk? And he's like, yeah, we don't, you know, not, I mean, you know, we say things, but not, you know, really specific. So I'm like, and I asked my son the same thing. And I've asked, you know, a few people that, like, in the recent, you know, in the recent history, and it seems like most men, we're thinking of men when they're young, like dishing the dirt on chicks and like speaking really filthy. But I have to be honest with you, from anybody I've ever talked to in the recent history, nobody is near as bad as me and my girlfriends. I'm serious. So I'm thinking, I don't know what that is. I'm just thinking that it's, first of all, it must be normal, because it's just not me and my friends. It's because even you guys are, like, I was thinking maybe we're just all, you know, perverted, but it's fun. I don't know why. It's just fun. It's just fun to visit about stuff. Even, and like I said, my one friend she looks like a school marm, and she was a swinger. She's a knitting teacher. And she was a total swinger. Like, you just don't know what's hiding behind little grandma faces, I'm telling you. And it's so fun. It's so fun to hear people tell you their stories. I don't want to do it because I'm afraid of disease, but. Okay. And then, oh my God, you've only been with your husband? Wow, that's awesome. And there's nothing wrong with being a nun. There is nothing wrong with it. Melanie, could you tell Facebook that you are live only here on YouTube? I try to come. Okay, you guys, Facebook, if you're on Facebook, thank you very much, Melanie. Could somebody go in? Christine, can you go in and give the link? Christine Kuhn, can you go in? You guys, that makes me feel so bad because I love you. I love when you're here. I did say that. I think I do say that. It doesn't matter. People will get it. It's, because I think I say it in the teaser, and I feel terrible because I love you guys. I really want to visit with you. I really do. It makes me feel connected. It makes me feel totally connected. And plus, it's like it's hard to get to know somebody. You know, if you're just literally only, it's much more personal, and I don't know why, because you guys are still chatting. I'm talking, but you're still writing. But like if you're on Facebook and it's just a post or something, like it's hard to get to know somebody. But like when you're in real time responding, it's I don't know. I've loved doing things live. I don't really do anything recorded. Nothing, not even my classes. I just don't like the idea of editing. Don't think there haven't been times I was like, shit, I'd love to edit that out. I mean, really, I've done some humdingers, let me tell you. I really have. However, I just think it's better, in my opinion. It's just better. Because I think that people feel more connected. And I want people to feel connected. I don't like superficial relationships. I don't have them. I refuse to have them. So thank you. Or Mary, can you go over there? Or Christine, go over there. You like how I'm bossing around. Christine, get over there. Damn it. And Mary, you too. And then you guys, could you just check periodically and just write and say, Natalie wants you? She wants you, baby. Natalie wants you, baby. She wants you. Please go over to YouTube. And then Mary says, are the bioidentical hormones safe? I feel like I'm on the downward slide. Well, you better get them, baby. Your life will change. I'm telling you. So, I mean, safety, I don't know. I go back on to this. I say I smoked from when I was 12 till I was 27. And quite frankly, I'd rather be horny and like dying young than like winding down to nothing. I'm telling you, men, I actually got really jealous of men after I started taking testosterone because I didn't realize how good they had it. It just feels, you just feel alive. You really do. You feel alive. And so, you know, there are, of course, I mean, no one wants to look like Suzanne Summers. She's totally overdone it. And the thing is, it's sort of like heroin. If your body, if you take too much, well, you start down regulating. And so then you need more and more, and then you get masculinized. So you have to be really careful. But they keep, they monitor you. They monitor you. And, but you can tell when it's starting to wear off. You can tell you start feeling like a little bit bitchy. You feel bitchy, and then you feel like you don't want to get frisky, and then you're like, God, my life sucks. Like the minute you don't want to get frisky, you're like, oh my God, this sucks. But all you do is feel love. You feel love. I'm telling you, there's something that, and it's made out of yams, if you can believe that, but it is. I think the majority of them are made out of yams, but they're you guys will have to read about them. I get pelleted. It's a pellet. Some people use creams, but mine's a pellet. I get it like once every 3 months. I feel like a cow because that's what we do. We implant cows. And then Christine says testosterone really helps. Yes, it does. Yes, I'm not kidding you. You guys, I'm not kidding you. Sock blanks. You want to talk about sock blanks? Anyone? Chris is like, move on. Damn you. Come on, Natalie. Move it. Move it. Move it. Just a blank. You guys, sock blanks. Okay, first of all, let me just say this. The idea, okay, those of you who don't know, if you want to do a gradient, so a gradient meaning like, let's say I want to knit a shawl, and I want to have it moving from dark to light, or light to dark, you can't leave it in skein form. So I can't leave it like this. And like dye one side of it and then dye the other side and think because it's going to be cut off. It's going to be variegated because the repeat. So this is important. I want to take my jacket off because I'm really hot, but I don't want my shirt to fall off because it's like asymmetrical, which I don't even like, but it was the only black shirt that I found without having to rummage. You guys are like, we don't give a shit. Okay, I want to just show you. This is important. Because if I'm going to bore you with sex and hormones, then I'm going to teach you something. Okay. So if I had my board, it would be so much easier. I do have my board. It's just over there. Hang on, and let me grab a Sharpie. Okay. So you figure the skein, I have to like get the camera. The skein is like this, skein form. So just, and behind here, let's pretend, or the other, so it's usually in, like, I want to say, is it in two yards, 2 yard put-ups, 1 yard, 2 yards? I like to reskate it in 2 yard put-ups. But anyway, so each one of these behind it, if I dye across, so this part's gray and this part's black, each one of these pieces is going to be half gray and half black. So when I knit it, I'm going to have part of it that's going to be half gray, and then the next part is going to be half black. It's not going to be a gradient. The only way to make a gradient is to warp it off. So to take off a big section of like, so I'm going to I'm going to unskein it, and then I'm going to dye that section, however many yards of that. I'm going to dye it one color, and then, take off another section and dye it another color. So I would end up taking, let's say I had 400 yards and I wanted a gradient, that it was a 4-color gradient. I would have to take off the first section, would have to be the first 100 yards. And let's say I did it light gray. And then the next one would be, the next part of the gradient would be, 100 yards. And it would be a medium light. Let's say medium light. And the next 100 yards, I would make it medium. And then the next 100 yards, I'd make it dark. And that's how I would do a gradient. You have to rewarp everything. As opposed to dyeing, the easiest way. I mean, but that sucks because you have to go and you have to rewarp it. And then you have to, it just sucks. And then you get it tangled, and it does take time. So I can't, so there are 2 different ways to dye these, to dye these. Is you either dye across this way, or you dye around where you don't have a repeat. So obviously if I dye across this way, then I'm going to have here like this pink, this orange, this red, and this green. You can see that my repeat would have like green, orange, red, whatever, and then it would go back on this other side, and it would have, this would be my repeat. So this dyeing across can make like argyle if you pattern it. You guys should get Laura Bryant's book. Her name is Laura Bryant, Prism Yarns. She figured this out. And there's another gal that she speaks about, she talks about it, but Laura Bryant, you can buy it, actually, you can just download the PDF after you buy it off of XRX, and that's Stitches. So you can go to Stitches website and look for Laura Bryant's book. But honestly, Laura Bryant, it's pretty cool how she shows you how by shifting the repeat, you can shift the repeat by either, changing needle size and changing your gauge essentially, and so that you can have a perfect argyling. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so why am I even talking about this? Because when you have a blank, it's already knit, then you can make a gradient or whatever you want because it's already knit. So you can see, and so it's already essentially skate off. So like when I start pulling it apart, that section, instead of me having to rewarp it, and what happens is when you rewarp it and then dye it, you have to then reball this thing. And you always end up getting, it gets tangled, and it almost takes longer to reskein or reball the yarn than it does to dye it. It's a time consuming, painful experience. But when you have these sock blanks, blanks, and they have DK weight blanks. So it's already knit. So if I wanted to, instead of like taking off 100 yards, I could just take off this section and, and bind off this section and dye it, and then bind off this next section, dye it, bind off this it's not that easy, by the way. I'm making it sound easy. There's so much shit involved in this. I'm just going to let you know. So many ways to contaminate, so many ways to get freckling, so many ways. I teach about this in I have a yarn dyeing class that's online, and also that's the one that's going to be, I'm doing it for Stitches in the camp Stitches, which only, I think, not very many people, or there's only 4 teachers that they're allowed to do it. And then that's limited in the amount of students. But anyway, my point being, this is the best way to do it, even though sock blanks are more expensive. This one, so there's sock blanks, obviously, if it's called a sock blank, it's because it's for knitting socks. It's fingering weight. Sock and fingering weight are the same, except that sock yarn usually has nylon in it. Okay? And so that's, that's the difference. But often the sock blanks are only one, and then you'd have to dye 2 of them, or they have them double knit. So there's 2 strands. These are double knit, because if I'm going to go to the trouble of dyeing it and trying to make like a self-striping yarn, which to make a self-striping yarn, you have the very best way. I mean, the one way you could do it is you could warp off. You could warp off like, let's say 25 yards and make it yellow, and then if you wanted the base of the sock to be black, then the next 25 yards would be black, the next 25 yards would be a color, the next 25 yards would be black. Do you see the pattern? So that basically the only repeating color, really, if you want the base color, would be black, and you would do it and you'd have more rows of that. But it's much easier to do in the sock blank. So I did this sock blank. Someone's going to win the sock blank. I did this one, and I'm just going to tell you right now, sock blanks are very hard. they are hard to dye, and there's a few reasons. But this one, so here, okay, this is the crazy thing. It seems like it would be, you should be able to make self-striping yarn by doing it this way, but you can't. You have to actually split it. It's like perpendicular. I can't teach you about that now, but I'm just going to tell you, dyeing. So this is actually a self-striping yarn. It doesn't look like it, but it is, because it's perpendicular to the way it unravels, and it's really beautiful. So it's got gray and yellow and khaki, and it's double knit. So there will be 2 skeins. There will be 2 hanks of yarn in there. And I knit up a tiny little section, which if you don't knit it in the round, you can't see the striping very well, but you can just kind of see how the colors look together. So I knit, and I think it just fell between my, no it didn't. You guys are like, don't be stupid, Natalie, it's right there. But I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. So this is not the striping. This is just how it knits. But if I was to have done it in the round, you would have been able, let me see. If I have to wait because there's a delay, so I have to see if you can actually see how it's really, the colors are so pretty. They're super vibrant, and it's gonna. But I only want someone to win it if you're gonna knit socks or something. Just knit something. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. And I am a loose knitter, so I think this is a size. I want to say this is a 1. I think this is a 1. I should have knit this on or not, but I was just sticking around. But it's so, you guys, honestly, it knits so, and I love this yarn. It's really high quality. I can't, you guys like, could you put your glasses on? Let me see. But it'll be totally striping. It won't be like, it won't look variegated. It's going to be totally striped. You guys like, yeah, wow. And then Christine said, my doctor, no, you want testosterone. That's because he doesn't know. Christine, you want testosterone. They'll give you estrogen, testosterone, and they'll give you progesterone. And then Ms. Shelley says, my girlfriends give every detail. My guy friends are appalled. Yes. Oh my gosh. Rhiannon says, you should work with a group of labor nurses. I want to. Christine says, yes. And then Millie says, I thought I was lost. No idea what was going on. Is it Vienna or Vienna? Vienna? And then Amy says, I work in long-term care, and the dirty talk doesn't end, and the lady's going to be worse than yes. And Allison, and so it's actually not tie-dye colors because there's a lot of grasshopper in it. It's called grasshopper, that's the color. So it's khaki. So it's actually not, it looks, and it's black and gray and grasshopper, and it's black and gray and grasshopper and blue, and then this electric purple, and it is going to knit amazing. I'm just telling you, like, the socks will be amazing. But it's so dumb because it seems very counterintuitive that you can't just, like, you know, it'd be so easy in these sock lengths. I'm just, sorry, I'm reverting back to that. If you could just bind them off here at the top to make self-striping, but you can't. You have to do it perpendicular. So to make self-striping, you have to go this way to bind it. And it makes it really hard because the capillary action. The capillary action pulls no matter how no matter how hard you bind them. It's very difficult to not get the dye to run into the next section. I mean, I'm telling you. And then there's all kinds of things. If you have one speck of dye on your fingers, or if you've constituted your dye that day and have it anywhere, I mean, you just end up doing like the cross transfer. Dyeing sock blanks or dyeing yarn in general is very unforgiving. We're dyeing when I'm dyeing, these boas or like any of the raw fiber. Do you like how I almost fell off my chair? You're like, stop it. But when you're dyeing this kind of stuff, you can just make mistakes, or quote unquote, they're not even mistakes because one speck is not. Look at the surface area. The surface area is like, it's not smooth. So we can have freckling or whatever, and it's not going to show up. Plus, we homogenize it, mix it together when we're spinning it. The yarn's already been homogenized. So when you make a mistake, it's there. It's completely different. It's a different skill set. You learn a lot. I mean, you learn a lot more dyeing raw fibers because what you learn about is really how the dyes work, and you become, and you need to know, right? I mean, you need to know because that's how you problem solve. Like something like this, like if I make a mistake on this, and this is actually amazing. This is like just shorn off the animal, like literally. It's not cotted, it's stuck together, but like you can easily spin this. but this is like one pot. But if there's like some mistake in here, no one's even gonna, by the time it's spun. But you learn so much more doing it, you know, with raw fibers. But then you have to, like, once you you know, are really great at dyeing raw fibers, switching over to yarns is hard because you've developed habits that aren't necessarily, you know, you're not a perfectionist. Like, you can have messy work areas, etc. It's not going to matter. Yarn, you cannot have a messy work area. You cannot have anything in it. And I always tell people to wear gloves because these dyes are protein fiber dyes, and they have an affinity for protein fibers, and our hands are protein. So what'll happen is you get dye on your hands, and then you'll go to wash your hands, and you'll think you have it all off. You'll see like dye on them, but you think it's just because it's stained. But the dye has a higher affinity for the yarn than it does for your skin, and that dye that was on your fingers now is on your yarn when you go to pick it up. So you want to wear gloves because then you can just wash it off. You can wash it off. You guys are like, wow, you're really teaching us a class, Nellie. Thank you. It was free. Well, no, you know, I want people to, you know, not everybody can afford my classes. Not everybody has the time to take them. But I want people to be able to be successful in everything they do. Success is good for everybody. And I don't like people to struggle. It bums me out. Oh, thank you. And Christine saying, make sure to subscribe. Please do. Yes, and Cynthia's saying, do you use a resist? Yes, I do. A wax that gets removed. Well, they have Gouda. You know, they have Gouda. There's a bunch of stuff. I mean, you know, dyeing is like, this is like what I do is I teach dyeing is that's my main squeeze. And I have a methodology that I developed, and it's pretty awesome because it really, it helps people to understand the science and how these dyes work and what to expect, because there's so much disinformation. It's disinformation. But of course, to resist, but it's hard because even when you resist the capillary action, it's amazing how much it can pull through. It just is really, then that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen like with top like it does with yarn. It's and even pressure. Like I've even used pressure, like a couple 100 pounds of pressure, and it can still, even if you were to put it in a vise, it's amazing. It is amazing how it can the dye can really migrate. But yeah, resisting is it, baby. Let's see. And then Chris says she has socks on the needles now, and she's getting sick of manufactured pattern. The blank looks fantastic. Thank you, Chris. And then Christine, thank you, Christine. And then Allison. Okay, so Allison, thank you for saying that. Let me just tell you what Allison said. She said I was beautiful. Just kidding. That's not what she said. She said the way the purple looks next to the orange is popping. So this is the thing that I try to teach people is that what's really important about artistry. So I teach about the methodology and the science, but what's the science with this kind of thing unless there's artistry? So in anybody's work, even if you're a straight knitter and you're just picking yarns, what's important is that you want to create tension in your work. So what does that mean? Tension means essentially that you don't want things to be intuitive. Okay, so what's intuitive? Like a rainbow. So a rainbow is totally intuitive. It goes from yellow, like let's just, the yellow next to the green because they get along, and the green next to the blue because they get along, the blue next to the red because they get along, the red next to the purple, because it's this gradient, this graduation of colors that if they were to commingle, that there wouldn't be mud, right? That is very intuitive, and that has no tension because they all could be married with no problems. And what are problems? Problems mean that if you're a painter, if you paint or if you do anything with anything that has a medium like that, even dyeing, whatever, whether it's, you know, it doesn't matter whether it's cellulose or whether it's protein fibers, but it's when the colors don't get along and they mix together, like red and green, and they make mud, or orange and blue, they make mud. So complementary colors intercommingling is bad. What makes artistry and tension is when you can get the orange next to the purple, because they don't get along. And that creates this tension that makes it really beautiful. So in my work, like one of the things that I try to do is, you know, of course, to make my life easy, I don't always want to have to do that because it's very challenging. And the bottom line is if the colors, okay, let's say I'm using watercolor because this just makes it simpler for people. If I'm using watercolor and I want to put blue next to orange, and I don't let either of them dry before I put them on the paper, it's so much easier for them to commingle and mix and make an ugly, horrible, muddy color. However, if I let one dry and then I come in with the other one, now I can control it, right? Now they're not going to really commingle because one's already dry and there's not a lot of dye left since it's dry to commingle. And it's sort of the same idea without the drying part, because instead of drying, we're talking about striking. So the dye striking to the fiber. If the dye strikes to the fiber, I can create tension by coming in with a color that it doesn't get along with, and then put it next to this, you know, a complementary color, and be able to have success, and also create this artistry and this tension. And so that's like one of the things that I teach. I mean, I try to teach people, because I usually use the example of, I call it a mermaid color, which would be blue and purple and green. And the blue and purple and green is really, you know, if you put blue next to green and then purple on the other side of blue, so it's purple, blue, green. That's very intuitive. Those colors get along. But once you move purple on the other side of green, that creates tension, because green and purple don't get along. And now you have something that's visually interesting. And you have to think about that the people that are the yarn manufacturers have to be doing this constantly, because there's only so many colors out there. There's only, I mean, there is literally, if we're talking about dyes, there is not an infinite. There is not an infinite amount of dye colors, right? So these manufacturers are challenged with, you know, you notice that a lot of their colors might look kind of the same, their yarn colors, but then again, they don't. And a lot of it is the way that what they're putting each one next to. So while the colorway last year was the purple, blue, green, now instead of having purple next to blue, purple's next to green, and it looks totally different. You guys are like, we are so bored and you talk so fast that we just want you to shut up. I don't know. I'm just trying to share with you something interesting other than penis size and etc. And then I'm reading. Oh, Amy's signed up for Gettysburg. Thank you. And then Chris is saying she's contemplating trying to get to Gettysburg. She has friends there. You should. I'm telling you, it's hard. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, the yarn dyeing class, you guys, I don't teach for babies. Like, I don't teach bullshit teach. Like, I'm teaching you shit you can learn on YouTube for free. Like, I don't do that because I'm not going to take your money. I'm just not. And like, I'm really into, like, I know a lot from reading peer-reviewed journals and papers that are from the textile industry. And so what do they know and what do I know? And then also in the, you know, like the merino sheep, we know a lot about wool because, well, the merino sheep industry has done a great job about putting money back into the industry, as they should. You know, any industry that makes a lot of money should put money back into research. The alpaca people didn't do that. That was a mistake. But like the racehorse people do that too. And so there is information that we know out there. So when there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation about dyeing, etc., that's all, you know, I mean, really in all the groups on Facebook, and especially now with the internet, you know, a lot of things are single source. Like, some people will make claims and say things that are just patently wrong. I mean, they're just simply untrue, and people keep repeating them. And, you know, all of my students know it's not true. And of course I know it's not true, but none of us, I mean, my job isn't to educate the entire, you know, Facebook groups. Plus, you know, I don't want people that take my classes to just go share all of the information that other people have paid for, that they've paid for. So, you know, I don't say anything, but there are things, and one of them, you know, there's just, they do a lot of conflating too, like not being able to use an aluminum pan with like these protein dyes, which is just ridiculous. I mean, it's not true. Or that you can't use your dyes if they've been constituted, they're only good for a couple weeks. That's not true either. Not for these dyes, it's not. I've had them for a couple of years, 4 years, and I've used them. They sometimes get gelatinous, but they're still totally usable. So, and they get that from that conflation comes from people who use cellulose fibers and use Procyon dyes. The Procyon dyes, they will interact with the sodium carbonate, so they are only active for a short amount of time, but it has nothing to do with the dyes we use. So, I mean, there's just, it makes it difficult because people get bad information. And it's expensive when you make mistakes. I mean, the yarns are expensive, especially yarns. Yarns are very, you guys know how it is. Well, and you know, fleece is expensive too, and so then you ruin things and you feel bad about yourself and you feel wasteful. And I don't know. I just want people to be able to have a good experience and be able to get what they want, you know, make what they want. And even I, you know, but I still make mistakes, and I really am an expert, but I fuck up regularly, believe me. And then Pin Pilon saying, learning so much here, how to dye gradient, how to measure a penis accurately. Bam! And I think the second one was the most important one. Okay, and then Diana saying, I'm intrigued, I will take your class in May in Pennsylvania. Thank you so much. And let's see. And then Jody says, I'm a beginner in the Ready method and I'm amazing. Oh, that makes me feel so good. And then Christine says, I want to come stay at your area. Christine, I think you should. And then Mary says, it is amazing. The Ready method is amazing. And it is. And a lot of people so people get really threatening because what happened with Ready method, you guys, is that the way that I discovered it wasn't on purpose. It was completely on accident. And one, because I'm a scientist. And it's not because, I'm just going to tell you, I am not hyper intelligent. Like I have people, you know, that'll tell me I have an IQ of like, I don't know. My mother had a 172 IQ. I don't have, my IQ isn't, you know, tremendously high. I don't know what it is, but it's not. But what I'm good at is being able to problem solve. And when I can't solve the problem, I don't have such a big ego that I don't find people who can. So I'm good at that's just what I'm good at. I'm not someone who, you know, and so that happened like during my master's thesis, the project that I was on for the DNA amplification. That thing had been going on for 1.5 years, and they just kept doing the same thing over and over and over, and it wasn't working. And it's like, baby, after 1.5 years, something's wrong, like really wrong. And so when I took it over, the first thing I did is I went straight to the biology department and went into their labs, the people that had been working on DNA amplification there, and hired a lab assistant from them. And then I started doing a ton of research, you know, a ton, and seeing what all the peer-reviewed papers were. And I had just happened upon it, had just been published 2 months before that, and it was an isothermal amplification technique that was really good on low cell numbers. So if you only had a couple copies of DNA, that it didn't have a lot of bias, whereas PCR, which is what everybody had been doing really since the late 1980s, it has a lot of bias. And so I abandoned PCR and just got someone that was smarter than me, because this gal was smarter than me, and then I was successful. And it's that sort of a thing with Ready method. There were a lot of things that I had seen in my own work, and then I just started researching and seeing that in the textile industry, they see these same things too. They see the same things that I see. And so then I'm like able to problem solve. And even though they're using homogenized fiber, so homogenized, it's even because it's been blended and it's been processed. I'm using unhomogenized fiber, so I'm using fiber that's raw and from a bunch of different animals, and I can see so many different things because different parts of the animal will dye differently based on the quality of the fleece, right? So something like a merino, okay, if you throw right now a fleece in front of me, it doesn't have to be like in a pelt form. You could just take and empty the bag, and unless it's an ultrafine merino, I can tell you where those pieces came from. I can, especially the britch and the neck. No problem, just no question. And as it starts to get towards the stomach, I can tell. They dye differently also, and they're different lengths. And so, but you have to think that if it's processed, all of those pieces are being homogenized together. And then because of the processing, it's also doing something to the fiber, so it's not pure, quote unquote, virgin anymore, because they do a lot of things to get rid of the vegetation. They carbonize it, so protein fibers love acid. They love acid. And so what they do is they use sulfuric acid to burn out the vegetation, because, you know, there's hay and bits and everything in there. And then what they do is they heat it really, really hot so that it gets crispy, so that vegetation gets super crispy, and then they crush it. They run the fiber through rollers, and then after they run it through rollers, they put it in a blow room, and they blow it all out. And then, you know, there's chemicals used to, you know, if it's like superwash or whatever. So what happens is it picks up dye better than you know, like usually our non-processed fibers. But the way the things that you can see is in the non-processed fibers, the part that's exposed to the elements if they're not coated, how much better it picks up dye because it's challenged. But there's so much variation because it's not homogenized, and you just learn so much. And the more different types of fleeces you can put your hands in and you can dye, the better you get. And then you start understanding why your superwash picks up dye so much better than your non-superwash, while your alpaca will never reach the level of brilliance that silk will, while your, you know, the coarse wool that you can't put next to your neck is so vibrant. And then you try to do the same dyeing with merino and it falls flat. I mean, you just start really, I mean, the journey of this of wool and these fibers doesn't stop. It doesn't need to stop with just the raw protein fibers. It really continues, because if you buy yarn that's from, let's say, Peru, and it says it's merino, it's totally different than the merino you buy from Australia, because the Peruvian merino sheep, they have to live in harsh conditions, and the better the animal, the less hardy they are. So they can't be in these conditions where there's really no food. So you're never going to get a yarn from Peru that is going to be like a yarn from Australia. And you'll see hair coming off of it. Like you'll see these hairs coming off of these Peruvian, nothing against Peruvian. You can still, most of it's next to skin soft. But if you see the hair, you know that this is not a great merino. When you see these halos coming off of your merino yarn, and there's no alpaca, or there's nothing in there like mohair or something. And so there's all these things that you can learn from. You guys are like, shut the fuck up. See, if you get me talking about this, because it's what I love, this is what I do. I love this, and I think this education for knitters in particular is so important, and I'll tell you why. Because it tells you what to use and when to use it. It tells you, don't make your 6'7" son an extra large sweater out of alpaca and think it's going to last. It tells you, you might actually even want acrylic in there. You know, I mean, you might, because you want it, you know, you might, because you don't want it to pill, you know, so you get maybe a, you know, acrylic merino, or I don't know. There's just all these blends that are better than, because if you have a 6'7" son and you have this giant extra large sweater in alpaca that has drape, it's never going to have memory, and it's just going to, on the weight of itself, it's just going to sag and be horrible. And it's going to pill because it's a shorter staple fiber. Gosh, you're like, okay, we're ready to go now. So sorry. I'll just throw it away. Okay, anything. Oh, okay. Sunny said, Sony. You're like, you guys are going to have to put phonetics so that I can actually spell. Okay. I've wondered why superwash picked up dye so much more. I understand why it makes sense. Okay. But also, besides that, let me tell you something. Easy in, easy out. Easy in, easy out. So the dye goes in easy, but it comes out. So these dyes, and the other thing is, so like you'll hear people say that reds aren't color fast, which is just such a crock of shit, because these dyes in general aren't color fast. These have moderate to good color fastness. I'm talking about protein dyes that are acid. They're all called either wash fast or acid dyes. And it's the standard. It's the industry standard. The fibers pick up these dyes beautifully in vibrant colors, and these typically do not have metals in them, and so they're very safe. However, there are some, and if you buy ones with metals in them, there is less of a range of colors. They're not as vibrant, but they are color fast, because then it's a covalent bond. So the bonding that we have on the dyes that we use that are non-metallized, the acid dyes that are the gold standard for the industry, they have an ionic bond, which is more of an interaction. It's not a true bond. And so they really truly aren't color fast, but for our purposes, it's totally acceptable. And it goes way deeper than this, but just on the surface, just to let you know, like the idea that when someone says that, well, I don't like this because, this color bled. Well, if it really bled, that's not the problem of the dye, that's actually the dyer. And there are some dyes that just have artifacts. So an artifact meaning that they have, they do have residual, and that's just the way it is. There's a difference between residual and crocking. So crocking, having it in your fingers. So you're touching it, you're knitting it, it comes off in your fingers. That is a bad dye job. Very bad. Having it when it's in super hot water and detergent, seeing like a Kool-Aid color of dye, that's an artifact. That's just part of the dye. And that's just the way it is. You guys are like, wow. Okie dokie. Okay, class 1 is now over. We're having calculus next week. Are you guys ready? Okie dokie. And then Marion 5678 says she's learning, and And Benjamin says wool and wine, the two most complex things that seem to be so, really, because I was thinking penis was one of them. Okay. Stop saying that. And then, okay, you like learning about this. Okie dokie. And then little L, you're so inspired. I have had trouble getting back into fiber arts since my divorce last year. Talking about fiber and dyeing has got me wanting to go make things, baby, make things. We need more, we need people to, my whole thing too, like part of the reason, well, okay, let's just be straight here. Kristen and Trisha wanted me to do the vlog, and the only way I said that I would do it was that I just had to be able to be free. Like I couldn't worry about swearing, because like Blog Talk I would worry, you know, and you know, I wanted to stay on topic, and I've been doing this for a really long time now, and so it's very hard to edit, to be live and to edit. You know, I just want to be myself. I just want to be myself, and if people don't like me, then there's nothing I can do about that. I'm a really good person. I'm so amazing. I'm not. I try. I am. I really try. But, and I try to be a really good person. And if they don't like me finally at 58, I'm just going to, 58. You're like, you added 2 years to yourself. 56. I'm 56. But I look 58. Anyway, I just have to be okay with it, which is really hard, as you know. It's very hard. It's very hard to accept that somebody doesn't like you when you are just, you do the best you can. But then again, what am I going to do? There's nothing I can do. If somebody doesn't like me, they don't like me. There's no reason to not like me, but you know, not everybody is going to like you. A lot of people can't stand that I talk fast. And but I can't help it. It's an idiosyncrasy, and I can't, there's nothing I can do about it. If I could do something, I would do it. But I can't. Bastards. Okay, moving on. Okay, what about natural dyes? I do not dye with natural dyes, and I will tell you that. So wait, I'm going back up. So I would like to speak to that. And so why don't I use natural dyes? I'll tell you. One, I don't want to use alum or whatever. I don't want to use metals. The colors aren't bright enough for me. And dyeing, I'm going to tell you, dyeing with natural dyes isn't, you can't be proactive. It's like, how do I know that? Because I've dyed, because I teach dyeing so much that I'll inevitably be somewhere where somebody's doing, I'm teaching dyeing like with a board, a whiteboard, going over everything, and like really, it's very proactive. And they're taking like electrodes, putting it in a pot with some whatever, and then waiting for an hour. Okay, that's not, and to get, you know, to make this, you're not going to be using natural dyes for a multitude of reasons. Not just the color, the brightness, but it's the all of the different colors next to each other, because there's no proactive in that natural dyeing. Like you can't, this is not something you'd be able to make. So for me, I'm a color person. Like I'm really, I'm a person that purposefully buys non-organic. So because I feel like a lot of it, I think there's something to be said for like what is it when you get it from the cacti? What is the one that you get from the cacti? And we have cactus here. So like that kind of stuff sounds fun, but then in the end, I would just want to do it. I would just want to do it the way I do it, because they're so beautiful. And I think maybe if earth tones came in, maybe I would do it. But I don't know. Probably. I always think that like muted colors always need something to lift it too, right? Like one of my favorite things is khaki and hot pink, right? If you do khaki and mustard, think of this. If you did khaki and mustard and navy blue and pumpkin, that is so heavy to me. Like it's so not fun. That's just not a color combination like I could do, because it feels like it needs something like a hot purple in there to lift it. Cochineal. Cochineal? Is it cochineal or cochineal? I don't know how to say it. And then Chastity says, I know so much about so many different things. Well, you know, what did they say? Jack of all, master of none. And then Sunny, is it Sunny or Sony? I'm so sorry. Could you just tell me? Do it phonetically, you guys, if your name is hard for me. Because I feel embarrassed if I say it wrong. I don't mean to. I even say my own name wrong, though. I say Natalie, and it's Natalie. So she's, let's see. And then Mary says, I am a good person. Thank you, Mary. And then, yes, I do teach about keeping goats and sheep, and those are the main animals you keep on play. Yeah, but I'll tell you something. The thing about like raising livestock is it's us getting rid of our because we are predators. And because we're predators, we have to get rid of this our predatory way of thinking and become, it's very hard, especially for me because I'm a very dominant person. Like every time I hear someone, you guys are like, here we go, back to sex again. But I actually have friends that are totally into like going to the dungeons. There are dungeons where they do like these things, believe it or not. And they're not uncommon. And I'm like, the thought of being submissive is like, I could be a dominatrix for sure. No question. But being submissive, yeah, I'm not, no. Not gonna happen. Why am I saying that? I can't even remember now. There's a reason. It related to something you've said. Could you fill in the blank for me, please? Because I don't know anymore. I'm sorry. Okay, we gotta pick somebody. We gotta pick somebody. And I don't know where my girls are. The minute I talk about sex, Kristen leaves. She's like from Oklahoma. I think she's just like, I'm out. I love her so much. She's gonna wash my mouth out. And then Saddlebutt saying, I don't like natural either. And logwood makes a stunning purple? I didn't know that. Some mushroom gives beautiful magenta color. Okay, well, Penny, but can you do it all on one skein? Because what I've seen is never. I've never seen anybody do like a multiple color skein. They're always solid. So, I mean, to your point, I'm not bagging on them. I'm just saying that when you can have like 150 dyes and there's just so many colors and it just makes your life so easy and you can be so proactive and you learn so much when you're doing it. You learn a lot about, not just you learn about the science behind the fibers as it's striking on, as the dyes are striking, but you also learn a lot about just the science in general and about, it's pretty fascinating. I mean, honestly, and like I said, you're so proactive when you're doing it that the thought of putting electrodes and like just some berries or whatever in a pot and like letting it cook is not, and especially when you've been dyeing, anybody who's done Redding method for a while, you become a control freak. That's what it is. Okay, let me just wrap it up that way. I am such a control freak over my dyeing that the thought of having something in a pot and not proactively doing something to it is so, it's so foreign to me because it's constant proactiveness. Sony, like the TV, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But I'm not saying I wouldn't. I mean, and you know what? I would be really smart to teach a class on it, to learn it and teach a class on it because people always want to know it. Yeah. And then, and Miss Shelley saying that natural dyes, I think you don't see multicolored because it takes so long to dye and it takes, yes, see? If you use more dye, wouldn't that make the color brighter if you're using natural? Okay, well, there's a whole, I don't know about, so I'm going to say right now that when we're talking about, because I'm not going to pretend to be a natural dyeing person. So I can't speak to that, but I can speak to the protein fiber dyes. And most people don't use them to saturation. They don't. And there's so much misinformation and disinformation. And if people would read these scholarly articles, that they would know. But they constantly are telling you that your water should be clear, and that's a lie. It's not true. It's not true. It only if you want to not be at saturation is your water clear when you stop, when you finish dyeing. We can do both. Yes, we can. And then I think he's saying that natural dyeing is very meditative. That's awesome. And then Gail saying after Redding method, she loves control. I know. You become a control freak. And then Saddlebutt says natural seems like staining to me. I think because, well, I think, you know what, actually is probably the bonds are, I'm sure, better because of the metal and then or you know, the alum, whatever, and then using because I don't think you're not using the electrodes, are you, for heat? Okay, I might be really stupid right now, and I might want to see, this is one thing I might want to maybe scrub out of here, but since I don't know about it, I don't know, but it just looked like, why wouldn't she have just put it on the boil, on the gas stove at the event? Instead, they put these things in them. So I'm guessing that that's not the heat. There's some electrical something or other that's happening. And then Liz says she's a bit of a control freak. Yes. But I think it's good. I mean, I do think it's, I mean, I'm not saying I won't do it. I'm just saying that right now, it's not what I'm doing. And this is what I teach, and I've been teaching it for a long, but I'm going to have to make a note of that, Eileen. Comes from some sort of a cactus beetle. Yes, that's Jen. She was right. It's cochineal or whatever. And then Teresa. Hi, Teresa. Natural dyes are such a lengthy process. I love immediate gratification with acid dyes. Yes. And Colleen. Hi, Colleen. And then let me see. Okay, so I don't know where these girls are, and this isn't because this isn't. So I'm just going to. Where are my girls? Because I need them to pick someone. But you have to be a knitter of this thing, this blank. It's still wet. It's why it looks like a wet dog. But you know what? I want to buy some of them. They are expensive, though. I want to buy some of them that are the DK weight. The DK weight. Because then I will be able to do super easy gradients for stuff. But I don't know. If I could, I really should get a knitting machine, like even a sock knitting machine, and then do my own blanks or something. You know, like the ones that are the metal ones that are really nice with. I can't remember the name of them. You guys are, I'm sorry, I can't remember everything. Let me just make sure. Let me see what my notes are saying. You guys are like, Natalie, they're not really notes. Okay, I got through. He's not evolved. He's a deckhead. 6 minutes. And 20. Well, I don't have to go over that because we've already. What time is it? I don't want to keep. Oh my God, you guys. We are so having so much fun. You're like, really? Don't lie. Okay. I have to pick someone. And then, is it Vienne? Is it Vienne? It's Vienne because it would have an, right? You're so cultured, Natalie. You could say my name. If not, please fix me. That's why you have to be satisfied with yourself. Oh, thank you so much. I'm very self-conscious. I'm very self-conscious. I'm very self-conscious, but then what I do is I say to myself, even though you're self-conscious, Natalie, you have to be yourself, because if you're not, then the people that don't like you, you'll be like, why wasn't I just myself? But I don't know how to be anything else anyway. I really don't. I only know how to be this person. And when you meet me, I'm this exact person. People say that to me all the time. They're like, you're the exact person that you are on camera. And I'm like, I am the exact person. There's no smoke and mirrors, baby. There's no smoke and mirrors. Okay, so I'm going to say, let me see. I'm not picking favorites. It's not because I don't have a favorite, you guys. I don't have a favorite. Chris, if you are the winner on this, are you going to knit this? Chris Hackbart, are you going to knit this? Because if not, I would give you something else. But if you'll knit this, then you will be it. Allison's like, this is really good stuff, Natalie. She's big beginner level. I'm a serial information giver because I'm very excited about the subject. I'm not kidding you guys. I'm so about the yarns, and I'm so in love with, obviously, I mean, I'm a shepherd, so I'm in love with the animals first. Not goats. I actually loathe goats, but I love mohair, so I have them. But I'm in love with with being a shepherdess, with the hard work, and then, you know, obviously, and there's so many beautiful yarns. There's so many, and I love that we can take these yarns and make them what we want. We don't have to take the colorways from the manufacturers. We can actually make better colorways. We really can, for what we want. Where are you? Okay, Chris, Chris? If you're the winner. These. Okay, Chris is the winner of this, and I swear to God, I don't know Chris, so it's not like we're, okay, Chris, you need to send me, you guys, there'll be another one next week. Because it makes me feel like I'm playing favorite. I'm not, because I love all of you. Next week, do you guys want me to have, this is what, I see, I'm wondering if I should have, like, yarn, or you can have fiber, so that people that don't want yarn can have fiber. But see, I also have, I'll show you. I showed this because I was going to do, what's it called? I'm doing needle punching, but the needle punch thing that I got isn't here yet, and it's been on order since November. So these are some of the yarns for the needle punch that I made, and they're really great for, I didn't make them, I dyed them. You guys have no idea how bright these are in real life. But I dyed them because I'm making this specific thing. And these are perfect for using with handspun yarns. Perfect for intermingling. Like, so you knit, you know, I went over this. You knit like one, you know, row of bulky and then like 2 rows of this. And whatever, you would dye this, whatever the main color of your yarn was. Your bulky handspun. And then it stretches out your bulky handspun, but also makes whatever you're making not super heavy. Would you do a sweater with this? Guess actually you could. This is actually pretty light. This is a really nice yarn, and it happens to be superwash. And you would only want something, see how loose, I'm going to teach you something right now. See how loose this is? Like when you look at it, see how there's not very much twist in it? Can you guys see this? I hope I'm not flashing. I'm sorry. It looks so ugly in this screen because it goes to the internet. It is so bright in real life. Okay, but anyway, so because this doesn't have any twist, hardly any twist, and you can see the little fibers coming off of it, if it wasn't superwash, it would have felt. It would felt. So you'd have this sweater that you knit bulky. It would probably only take you a day to do it because the yarn's so huge, but it would felt super easy because it doesn't have a twist. That's why the hard thing about singles, if you don't have it superwash, is that it is a felting, pilling mofo. Yeah. Ask me how I know. Okay. Thank you very much for liking the colors. Thank you. I try. I work so hard. I actually do not ever use one color. I use multiple colors to make sure that they are very bright. And there's a whole science behind this. Okay, you guys. Okay, so Chris, I need you to on Facebook or at or you can write you could do it at info@woolshampoo.com, info@woolshampoo.com, and send me your address, and then or you could just write me on Facebook. And then of course next week I will probably not talk about penises because I want people to keep showing up and they're going to be like, all this girl does is talk about penises and wanting to have sex. Well, what's wrong with, I don't see a problem with it, but I'm sure other people do, lol. But then I do teach you guys something. So I don't, so, oh yeah, next, okay, so I did, you guys, this is what I didn't talk about that I really want to talk about today. I'm figuring out the stitch for, I've tried a couple of them. The stitch for my new sweater for the, and I actually did a couple swatches and ripped them out. One of the stitches is where you do, I want you to visualize this if you're a knitter. So you do a yarn over, then you knit two, but then you go back and bring the yarn over those knit two, and it looks like scales. You see? So, and you just do that again, so then it's a repeat. So it's yarn over, knit two, then bring the yarn over the jump, like, leapfrog it over those two, and then it ends up having this thing. Do you like how someone's calling me? It's so nice. They have that on. You guys, I left my wallet at Starbucks today. And it's still, and they still have it. Because I couldn't go get it. I didn't have time. It's Jenny. It's Jenny. Hi, Jenny. Just kidding. I didn't answer it. Hi, Jenny. I just want to tell you what Richard said about you. He didn't say anything. He says you're frigid. I'm going to tell her that later. I'm going to make her day. Anyway, the other stitch was, it's called, you guys have to look, it's called a blister check. It's like so they look like, and so I think I want to do scales on him. So I looked for ones that had a stitch that was going to do like the only thing I can think of doing to make it look like a sheep would to be that there's one that has like loops, like there's loops that hanging like loops off of but then I don't want his little claws to get caught in it. So anyway, if you guys have any ideas of a really great either a stitch, a knit stitch, or if you know anywhere, I did. There was one little sweater for a dog, but it had ears. It hung on its ears, so it looked like it was a sheep sweater, but the way it stayed on its head was it went over its ears, but this thing doesn't have any ears. It has ear holes. So I'm like still looking to make this sweater for this thing. I just have to find the perfect combination. It's like either I was going to make either a dragon costume for it or the sheep one, but I have to find the right stitch patterns, and also, loosely based off of some dog sweater pattern, or I have the pattern in my head, so it doesn't even have to have one. I have I have the pattern that I did last time that I made. So you guys are like, shut up, move on. Okay, so I'm going to see you guys next week, I hope. And I really appreciate you. You guys make me feel so worthwhile. I mean, I'm really serious. Otherwise, I get really depressed. I'm not a depressed person, but everybody wants to be loved. And you are, for showing up. I will see you next week. Be there, be square, everybody. Thank you again. Thank you so much, you guys. You're awesome. And you make me feel good.